The Jailer was right. Now we know how Warcraft ends. A little bit of a hit to Sylvanas here and the Jailer. Oh, man. Some Zoval lore. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but let's just jump straight in here. A nice one from Bellular. Here we go.
Sponsored by Squarespace. Brace yourselves because Sylvanas was right, the Jailer's warning is paying off. The Shadowlands actually did mean something, which is rather shocking, and you might be thinking...
Hold on, so quick recap. What was the Jailer right about? I mean, this was the part of the problem of Shadowlands, was we never knew what the fuck the Jailer was talking about the entire time. Bald man with big nipples walking around talking about what is to come and how something's coming and someone's going to come. I don't know what he was talking about half the time, but he was starting this, you know, whole like beam of death, and he was going to blast the cosmos apart, and his final words were, a cosmos divided cannot survive, will not survive what is to come. Okay, so he was trying to unite the cosmos against something, some kind of threat. Was he talking about the void? Was he talking about the Titans? We have no idea. At the end of the day, this man was just talking a lot and was a pretty shitty villain. Look at this exhibition. What's going on, Plum?
Michael, have you absolutely lost your mind? Have Blizzard's crack squad of elite men finally got to me and ruined my brain? No. You see, the biggest problem with Shadowlands is how so much of its story was told, and some fundamental things it did, reaching back into Warcraft 3 and changing things about. But here's the thing. It happened. The Warcraft verse has to deal with that, and I think Blizzard are doing a good job at taking the cool lore and pulling it forward, and kind of just ignoring the stuff that we really didn't like.
They should have done the Samiccus lore trope. If you haven't seen it before, I did a what if, Zoval was a good villain or whatever, or the Jailer was a good villain. Yeah, it's a great video. Probably one of my OG YouTube videos. That thing's, I sound weird in that video. I don't know. It's so old now at this point. I'll make sure it gets linked towards the end of this video. But yeah, it's a good one. It's much better than the real thing.
But what did I mean by
I'll tap myself on the back.
Well, Sylvanas did say the world is a prison. And what did we discover? Well, we discovered Azeroth chained at the center of our planet. That, at least, is all true, according to Blizzard's current campaign to hammer Shadowlands back into Warcraft lore. You may be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Well, pretty simply, it's this.
My penance, my true work has only begun, little sister. The Shadowlands are not at all what they seem. I cannot rest until I've uncovered the truth. Still, I hope to see you both again before the end begins.
Ominous.
What the hell is she on about? What is the end beginning? What is the true nature of the Shadowlands? Why does every character have to show up, vague post status, and then run away for a bit? Well, Blizzard has clearly set Sylvanas on the trail of another conspiracy, and it's one that goes back to what Metzen said was at the core of the World Soul saga.
Yeah, I definitely think she's revealing or discovering, the Titans' inner workings, what they're doing, how much of this world is in fact like, filtered by them, or I guess directed by them. Because remember, the Titans, their whole thing is order. They hate disorder. There's only one truth, and everything has to align with that. That also goes into the light and the Naru and everything. It's kind of why those two, some people confuse the light with the Titans. They're two separate entities, but they are somewhat aligned in that they typically, they like things to go down one straight path. And a deviation from that is like utterly, it's they can't handle it. It does not compute, basically. Whereas the void is very much is very different from that, where it's like, thousands of possibilities. You don't know which one's going to happen. It's just chaos, kind of like the Burning Legion, right? That whole thing fits together. So there's what's it called? There's differences and similarities between those two, but I think a lot of people confuse the light and the Titans. Basically, Sylvanas is uncovering that, the Shadowlands, the realm of death has been taken over by the Titans, orderified by them, and it's not natural. That's not the way things are supposed to happen.
A conspiracy orchestrated by the Titans. Now that's the sort of thing that we've had at least some idea of really since Wrath of the Lich King. And even in the Shadowlands expansion, we were all speculating about Titan involvement because, looking around the place, everything did seem to be kind of in their art style. Now, here's the short version. The Titans have totally wrecked how the universe works. They've been going about the place and changing everything to suit their ends. They turned the Shadowlands into basically a power plant to fuel their ambition of ordering reality. But the problem is, doing that had huge consequences. Such as, death kind of stopped doing its job. It stopped being the final barrier against everything in creation.
It's funny, the Titans kind of act like U.S. colonialism. Right, they do. I mean, it's like oil. They found anima. Anywhere they found anima or any kind of power, they go for it. They order it and they use it. That's what happened here. They discovered anima and they're like, damn, this thing's powerful. If we create this sky dildo thing, we could probably use all this shit for something else to order another plane of existence or whatever. And that's what they were doing. And yeah, eventually kind of messed things up.
Just being consumed by the void, and that is something we're seeing Xal'atath pursue literally as we speak in the Midnight expansion. Now, there is loads to figure out here. This is going to be a pretty broad video, but I think we can do it together. So many people playing WoW, it can be hard to stand out, hard to get the perfect mug. It's a bit like that online. Everyone's online, but the question is, do you look pro or do you look forgettable? And today's sponsor, Squarespace, has been shipping serious upgrades to help you in that, and they're worth paying attention to. Here is
please don't look for the
It's
Jailer
kind of
Sam
new
artwork.
headline feature. It gives you professional grade animation, scroll effects, and transforms. It's
I
the
know
sort
what
of
you're
polish
talking
that
about.
used to require hiring a developer, and it turns a standard site into something that is immersive, and it's all built into their editor. And of course, that's all on top of their blueprint system that walks you through building your own custom template, asking you what pages you need, suggesting
I wonder
fonts
how
that
much
work together,
Squarespace
and a
pays,
color
man.
palette that ties it all together. So you get no blank canvas paralysis, you get guided decisions that are based on their 20 years of design experience. And while you probably know about all their e-commerce stuff, you can actually sell things in person with Squarespace, be it merch, services, whatever. It all works now with tap to pay on iPhone, so you can just accept contactless payments with just your iPhone. No card reader, no extra hardware. And that alone makes Squarespace a hell of a lot more than just a website builder. So you can build your site for free at squarespace.com/ValuerGaming. And when you're ready to set it live, use code ValuerGaming and that'll get you 10% off your first purchase of a site or domain.
Is WoW harder now or easier 2x ago?
It's easier now. I think WoW is the easiest it's ever been. Yeah, I do. Without the add-ons and everything, I just think people are pumping their item levels higher than ever. They're clearing more shit than ever. I mean, you just look at the keys being completed. These are high-ass keys people are pushing right now. So I definitely think it's easier, actually. And thank you for the Prime sub. 3 months now, Raids. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Deathland of our Scourge.
Let's set up the mystery. In the War Within's epilogue, we helped Arator regather the Windrunner sisters. Varisa was on board, leading the High Elves to Silvermoon. Illyri was too busy chasing Xal'atath, and then Sylvanas, the final of the three sisters, well, she refused to return. At the very least, she refused at the time. But she did tell Arator something. She told him that she had noticed something strange going on in the Shadowlands. That it was too familiar feeling, that it was too ordered. Now, the word ordered being used set off huge lore alarm bells in all of us, because that generally means it was built by the Titans.
Right.
And what Sylvanas said is basically what loads of us thought when we first entered the Shadowlands and started speculating.
Did you guys like Zareth Mortis? I thought it was cool, like aesthetically. Maybe it's just because like we were all depressed because we had spent almost a year in the Maw at that point, and all the aesthetics of Shadowlands started to feel really dark and spiky and gloomy, and then we went here and it was nice. Shadowlands like started off hardcore, like aesthetically amazing. Those lands and the way they looked and everything, you guys remember going through them? Oh my God, visiting like the Curian lands and all that shit, and then the Venthyr and everything. It had some good aesthetics to it. But then it just got really dark for a while, and it was pretty depressing. And then we went to Oribos. It's like a COVID fever dream, honestly, Shadowlands. I think that's the best way to describe it. Shadowlands was a COVID fever dream.
About what the hell all of it meant. Sylvanas eventually appeared at the end of the March on Quel'Danas raid to face down Xal'atath. That's when she reminded us that the Shadowlands are not all what they seem, and that she needs to investigate further, and that somehow what she's discovered is actually convincing her that the end is coming. spooky stuff. Now, on this channel, on the other lore videos, we've established that the Titans' fingerprints are all over the Shadowlands. Little things like how the souls seem to be used as a power source, which seems like a pretty awful way to handle death in your universe. Well, if it turns out it's the Titans being dickheads, I guess that kind of works. And it all connects to some great lore hints that were there in the Shadowlands, such as us finding the core of a dead Titan in Korthia. We also fought a Constellar, and Constellars are typically servants of the Titans,
Right.
but of course that was a Constellar who was dominated by your boy Zoval in Torghast. We then saw that the Primus carried memories of Aenar, Norgannon, and Sargeras.
This guy.
So those are all things we speculated about during Shadowlands, and we got really kind of disappointed that it just never really went anywhere. But now Sylvanas basically agrees with our speculation. So let's accept, at least for now, that the Titans ordered the Shadowlands. Well, we know the Titans are coming back to Azeroth in The Last Titan. It's the next WoW expansion, so
Right.
this stuff is certainly relevant to where the story's going. But how the hell does this fit into a story that currently has Xal'atath basically as a villain who is finding herself on the edge of victory? And if you don't know what I mean by that, I'll put it pretty simply. At the end of the March and Quell
I still say, like, Xal'atath's endgame goal, like, she talks about it. It's not a shocker. She's mentioned it many times before. Her goal is always survival, right? It's just to continue to survive, to live, you know, whatever that means to you. Her thing is, I don't know if it's a pleasurable life or what it is, but just to keep going. And, you know, Titans, they're immortal. So,
And always use another death
Reaper,
knight.
thank you for the sub, man. Good morning. Yes,
Good
thank
morning
you.
at
11.
Samiccus.
My man's 1 month away from a year. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Death Knight of our Scourge. I was saying, I think she's going for immortality, and Titans are immortal. Now, I don't know how she plans to become a Titan, or whether she plans just to be immortalized like a Titan. I don't know what that plan is, but that's what I think she's trying to do. She's chasing immortality. The Titans are immortal, so there's going to be some sort of crossover there. Thank you for kicking off that hype train again, Reaper.
Nas, when she sort of zoops down through the floor in that big void beam, well, that's basically taking her to the prison at the core of Azeroth, where, well, Azeroth herself appears to be locked up. Yeah, the world is a prison, just maybe not how Sylvanas thought it was. Now, this brings us back to what I said I would do earlier, Venari and what we learned when we recently met her in patch 11.2. So, at that point, we had just discovered the husk of Karesh. And that was a huge moment for the lore, because we've been wondering what was up with Karesh since all the way back in the Burning Crusade in 2007. Now,
Right.
when we were there, a alliance of convenience brought together Xal'atath, Locust Walker, and Venari. Obviously,
The story was pretty
Xal'atath
good.
betrayed us. Quite literally, everyone in the plot expected that she would. But, well, at the time, she did have a compelling reason to help us, and we had a compelling reason to help her. And that reason was simple: death at the hands of Dimensius. That basically, if we didn't stop him, Dimensius would gobble all of us up anyway.
Right.
Yet, Venari warned Xal'atath to keep in line. Now that in itself is weird. How is Venari talking to Xal'atath with such authority? Well, because Venari's time in the Maw taught her about what the Void truly fears. And based on her reaction, Xal'atath seemed pretty sure that Venari did know what the Void fears. So that means the next step in today's video is figuring out what the hell the Void fears.
Death. I think it's death, because if you remember, Illyria, you know, there's that comic where the three sisters, the Windrunner sisters, meet up, and we're like seeing Illyria's thoughts. And if you remember, the thoughts kept telling her to kill Sylvanas, or like, kill her, she's a danger, kill Sylvanas. They were freaking out over this undead sister. Like, for some reason, oh, there it is. I didn't even know that was going to be said there. And it's not a pre-watch, okay? You fuck boys. Now you're all going to say, because I know this is a problem, I know my shit, and I get accused of pre-watching because I know my shit. But basically, yeah, Void versus death. It's clearly death. That's the thing the Void is afraid of. Yeah, pre-watch, right?
This question takes us all the way back to 2008 and Wrath of the Lich King. In that expansion, we discovered that the undead were somehow resistant to the Void. Now that's why they could build their greatest fortress, Icecrown Citadel, out of Saronite, why they could build their armor out of Saronite. You see, Saronite is the solidified blood of an old god. Old gods being void beings. Now, for mortals, Saronite would quickly whisper the madness of the void into your mind, right? So if you started wearing this gear, yeah, you'd be powerful, but you'd probably lose your marbles.
Right.
But for the Scourge, it was just another set of totally sweet weapons. And
I mean, we literally saw this take shape with the corruption mechanics. If you remember corruption gear at the end of BFA, it wasn't, I don't think it was Saronite necessarily, but it was all corrupted by N'Zoth. And so the more you equipped, the more powerful you became, but you had to fight off the corruption, which is why we needed the capes. Otherwise, you'd lose your mind to the whispers. That mechanic is basically what Saronite armor is.
Armor to use. Now, at the time in Wrath, the mechanism behind that was never really explained. And Blizzard did say in 2010 that there was more story to tell there, and they kind of regretted that they didn't really get to cover it in Wrath of the Lich King. So, that's one big clue. The next clue takes place in 1,000 Years of War. This is an audiobook that's basically covering the story of Illyria and Turalyon from the point at which they leave the story all the way back in Warcraft 2 Beyond the Dark Portal, so, you know, a 1990s game, and of course until their return in the Legion expansion. And in that audiobook, Locust Walker tries to teach Illyria how to essentially balance the void. And obviously, we kinda just saw how that worked out for her.
Yeah.
Anyways, he taught her about the duality of light and void, that fundamentally, light sees one path and shuns all others, but the void sees infinite possibilities, but doesn't really know what one is true.
I literally just got into this about the light and the void being, one and the same, but they're not. It's, man, I'll be honest, it looks like I fucking pre-watched this video. I'm gonna be flat out. The fact that I even said this and he's saying it right now, it's kind of looks fucked up. So I don't even know how I'm gonna fight the accusations right now. But I did say at the very beginning of this video, the light and the Titans, they're two different things. But they're very similar in that they only see one path forward, right? It's all about, yeah, I know, pre-watched. Yeah, here we go. It's only one path forward. They all like order. They don't like divergence from that, and the void is very much the opposite. So that's how that whole thing. Sam. Okay, yeah, the Prince of Pre-watching, wonderful. So it totally makes sense that they seem somewhat aligned, and some people think they're the same. They're not the same, and the void very much different. Millions of paths, millions of possibilities. That's why the whispers of N'Zoth, when people try to equate every single whisper to something that's actually happened, the truth is they don't all have to happen. N'Zoth could have been telling us 50 different possibilities and only one actually comes true. So that's the thing about the void. You never know what's real. Also, me sipping from a pink mug does not make me beta. It actually makes me super alpha because my testosterone levels are so high that I can drink from a pink mug. It's not going to affect my masculinity at all. That's the truth.
So effectively, they're extreme opposites of each other, yet they're also seemingly part of the same thing. Because if you look at a Naru, a being of light, it can turn into its void cycle. So, weird stuff going on there. Now, this concept was referenced once again in the Shadowlands expansion, and it was referenced when we found a Dreadlord-authored infiltration guide, and it stated that the Void Lords were preoccupied by their 1,000 truths, and the Void likes possibilities.
Damn, he just said 1,000 truths. Okay. This is probably the most looking pre-watched video I ever had. I'll be honest, but damn, I was on point.
Okay, so we've put some evidence on the board.
I'm good.
Now it's time to just go a wee bit deeper to really make the connections. On Koresh, in patch 11.2, we ran into two insane references to death and how it interacts with the void. First, an ethereal geologist sought to cleanse void corruption from Koreshi Earth. And by Earth, I quite literally just mean the rock under the dirt. It was just full of void energy. We didn't want that. Now, nothing had worked so far, but this geologist had dealings with the Primus. Now, the Primus is one of the head honchos over in the Shadowlands. He's the leader of Maldraxxus. So, this geologist brings the Primus's sun lamp to Koresh and uses the sun lamp to cleanse 90% of the void corruption from the soil samples. So, hey, great, you can go plant some flowers again. How's that relevant to our story? Well, actually, it's quite simple. It's death magic from Maldraxxus obliterating the void. Okay, Now we're beginning to see the connection, but we can
yeah.
go deeper still. There's a scientific paper.
Now it makes sense. Yeah, death is very much, it seems to be the anti-void. It seems to have the ability to destroy the void.
Authored by one of the brokers that is titled
Necromancy.
Murmuration's Paradox, and it explains how they've traveled the cosmos.
Wait, what if we get the Necromancer class to help us fight against Xal'atath in The Last Titan? What if Death Knights get a Necromancer class? Because it becomes like the way to fight against the void. Oh shit, that'd be cool.
Long story short, when Koresh was destroyed long ago, the native Koreshi were split into two factions. There were the Ethereals. They escaped into the Twisting Nether and into real space.
Wait a minute, I'm thinking really quick. Ghost just said death is the destroyer of everything. What if it is that it doesn't matter if you believe in infinite possibilities or a single possibility? All possibilities lead to one possibility, and that is death. Right? Is the end-all be-all of every possibility. It's the end-all be-all of every timeline, every single thing. It comes to death. Now, there are immortal things, and wow, there are titans, but death is final. A titan can die. It's a finality. If it's killed in the right way and everything else, their souls can be sent to the mana realms or arcane realms and coagulate or whatever and come back. But if something truly dies, it is over. It's done. It's the end of it. It's interesting. Yeah, either side of the coin. If you play the Titans' way of a single possibility, the Void's way of only one, it doesn't matter because it all ends in death in the end. If it dies, yeah, semantics maybe. I don't know. It's cool.
That's why we met them in the Burning Crusade on the broken, fallen world of Outland, which was, of course, once home to the orcs. But there's another group called the Brokers.
What's up,
They're
Kate?
the ones who escaped into the Shadowlands. Now, they explain that the forces of the cosmos and their realms are...
Argus is a Titan. Did he die after Argus dies before Shadowlands. Argus is the reason Shadowlands falls apart because he's a Titan world soul sent to the Shadowlands and it destroyed the Arbiter, which messed everything up. That's how basically Shadowlands kicks off. Yes, but was it his essence? Yeah, it was like his soul. It was his world soul, his soul, whatever that is, was sent down there and messed up the Arbiter. That's how everything kicked off. Titans have been killed before. Sargeras killed his siblings and they came back. They go to the mana realms or whatever, the arcane realms, and they reform and they come back. But if you kill a Titan a certain way, I don't know how it is that we killed Argus and he got sent to the Shadowlands, but you kill a Titan a certain way, he ends up going. They can be killed. They can die. It's kind of like killing a demon in the Twisting Nether. That they will die and they will not come back if you do that. Same shit. So maybe because we killed him in the Pantheon, right, where all the Titans were, because we killed him there, he wasn't able to come back. I think that's what it was.
Are split into two categories. The two categories are high energy, which are fell, light, and life, and then low energy, which are death, decay, and the lowest of them all.
You're missing my point. We needed to fight Argus's soul in Zereth Mortis. Is he dead now? I think he is. I think the Titans wanted us to kill him long before we did kill him. If the one thing that people always said about Argus, and that was very weird about him, and we're talking about death a lot here, Argus's weapon of choice was what? It was a scythe, right? What is that typical, what does that typically represent in terms of weapons? Who the hell holds a scythe in all senses of lore in real life? Right? It's the angel of death. So a lot of people, thought about Argus as being the Titan of death. He was supposed to be like the Death Titan, the Grim Reaper. Yes. So the Titans had an issue with that. He's like one of their siblings. He's supposed to be brought up as a world soul, eventually become a Titan. But the Titans didn't like that. They're like, death. Death can't be with us. Death is our enemy. So the thought of a Death Titan just kind of threw them off. So they were like, we'll have these Azeroth kids come kill him. Because they're powerful enough to do it. We set this shit up right. They're going to kill him. We'll send him down to, we'll actually kill him the right way so he can't come back. And that's the whole reason why people say, we were set up to kill Argus. We shouldn't have actually killed him. That was part of the Titan plan. This is all part of the plan, boys. Yeah, so a Death Titan, they weren't about it, and they had to send him.
Void. And basically, you need more energy to get into the high energy realms. But here's the key. The path
And
of
I do
least
think he's actually
resistance
dead. We killed him,
is
yes.
going down the energy levels, down towards death, down towards decay, but not void. And if that seems like total gobbledygook to you, honestly, that's kind of understandable. I guess I just tie it a little bit to say entropy, like a high energy state or low energy state, that kind of thing. Now, the majority of mortals in the warcraft setting, whenever they die, they end up going to the plane of death, right? Which, of course, we call the Shadowlands. Now, that's big, because it means their souls never reach the void. Death is basically, the lowest basement level they can go to. Or to put it more aptly, it's like a cosmic net that catches everything before it gets taken by the void. It's essentially the ultimate end for a mortal soul. No energy, no hope of getting back into the higher realms, yet unable to fall further, unable to fall deep into the void. Now let's think about it this way, right? If the void represents all possibilities, then death represents the end of possibilities.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, damn it. The pre-watchiness of the things I've been saying are pretty insane. But to me, it just says like, oh, I know my shit. To the rest of you guys, it makes me look like a fake-ass bitch. Besides the point, yes, death, as I said, the end of all. It is final. That's the crazy thing about all this. Foul, happy birthday, Foul.
Basically,
yeah, very
death
sus,
is the thing that is shielding everything from pure void. And that is what the void fears most. The surety of death. Because if something's dead, the void whispers ain't gonna do much, right? So, perhaps that's what Venari saw whilst she was in the Maw, and what Sylvanas is seeing there now. But they only saw it in the Maw because they got a glimpse of what true death looks like. Basically, they saw an ordered realm of the Shadowlands completely destroyed. They got to see what death looks like without all of the Titans doing, without their conspiracy. What went wrong then? Why is death not doing its job, such that now void is on the verge of just consuming the whole universe? Well, that is where we need to go back to the most controversial moment in the Shadowlands, and the center of Blizzard's mission to drag it back from that controversy. You may know the moment. You see, the Jailer realized the Titans had broken the universe before anyone else. Zovaal was right.
Oh my god.
After that totally wild statement, let me bring all this together for you, right? So we were told.
Yeah, and like I said his famous line, a cosmos divided will not survive what is to come. I'll always say it till my dying breath. The Jailer's final words. He was on his knees and his final word was come. Never forget that, boys.
The World Soul Saga is happening because of a vast Titan-led conspiracy that stretches throughout the history of the Warcraft setting. Now, this has already been decently hinted at, really since all the way back in Wrath of the Lich King, arguably back even a little further. Now, in the War Within expansion, we discover that Azeroth had been imprisoned by the Titans in something called the World Core. Now, that's the first and most obvious part of this conspiracy, that the Titans went up to Azeroth, saw she was absolutely yoked and full of power, and thought, I need me one of those. We need to turn her into one of us so we can win. That's the most simple version of the Titans' plan, right? Then, of course, there's Sylvanas telling us the Shadowlands is ordered. And that means the Shadowlands is also likely part of the Titans' grand design. But this is where things got a wee bit tricky for the Titans. In ordering the Shadowlands, so building all their stuff, making all of their Eternal Ones, 3D printing their gods, they actually cut it off from its natural function. Its power no longer keeps the void in check, and now it looks like a power plant for the Titans' designs, right? So it's almost as if the Titans redirected all that good shit into what they wanted, but really didn't think about the consequences. Finally then, we have Sylvanas telling us that the end is about to begin, and if I have to say that again, I swear I'll go mad. I mean, come on, I will see you in the beginning of the end of the middle. A little bit tropey, Blizz, but I do get what they're trying to say. Now here's where it all locks into place for us. everything we've learnt about the Titans from Classic through to Battle for Azeroth, everything we've learnt about our World Soul from Shadowlands onwards, and finally, the Jailer's warning about it before he died. If you know the quote, say it with me. You preserve that which is doomed. A cosmos divided cannot stand what is to come.
Yeah,
Usually,
to come.
we focus on the what is to come bit, and we
Right.
think, oh great, it's Blizzard
I focus on the come bit. That's right.
posting the next villain, the super
Pre-watched,
jailer
yeah,
of the
yeah,
people before the Titans, the first ones, the before ones, or some silly gumph like that. But no, let's actually focus to the beginning. We're preserving a doomed system. So in a way, you could say Morpheus showed up and gave your boy Soval the red pill many years ago.
Yeah.
Now, to understand why it's doomed, there's a final bit of context we need. The Jailer was the most powerful of a group that we called the Eternal Ones. Now, he was the original Arbiter. Basically, whenever you die, you go into the Shadowlands, and the Arbiter sorts you out, routes you to where
Right.
you're supposed to go. A bit like the sorting hat in Harry Potter, or just a Wi-Fi router. Now, if we believe that the Shadowlands were ordered, right, created by the Titans, then we have to believe it was the Titans who put Zoval in that position.
Yeah.
And that makes the theory that the whole First Ones thing was basically just a cover for Titanic activity in the afterlife.
Yeah, I think it
feel like
was. It looks like it. I mean, you look at the first ones and everything about him, even when you kill the Jailer and his robot form shows up, all this shit looks Titany. It all looks very Titany, although in the entire constructs, all of this orderliness, like if you look at Zereth Mortis, it's all very orderly. Everything about it was in perfect order. So, I mean, definitely, I would say that this was all one big Titan cover-up.
a bit more credible. Because whilst Zoval
And Zoval realized it. He did. He had a moment of consciousness. He had a moment of realization when he figured it all out. And one thing about Azeroth, everyone wonders, like, what's she the Titan of? Is she just the Titan of everything? Is she the titty Titan? I have no idea. But one thing I will say that's very common about Azeroth is she tends to give people the ability to strike consciousness, to strike, like, to get free will, right? We've seen it many times with a lot of the beings of Azeroth, all the denizens of Azeroth. When they're Titan style, right? There is no free will. They just follow orders. I mean, look at the Earth, and we got all that Earthen lore. But then you get some Azerothian influence. Now they're a Thragar. Now they have free will. Same with, some people say Curse of Flesh is actually Azeroth convincing the old gods to change us over to give us free will. So, I mean, there's a constant theme with Azeroth in that she has the ability to push people to think, to realize things, to gain consciousness, and to get free will. So maybe Azeroth influenced Zoval. Maybe she's the one who kind of made him realize what the hell was going on. I don't know. Bring back Yogg. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe that's what if we talk about how we just talked about a Titan of Death, right? And how he died, but they're not willing to kill Azeroth because a Titan of free will, that's an interesting one. Now, you would think they'd want her dead if that was the case because they don't want free will. They want complete order. But what if you can control her in a way? What if you can control the free will to make things think they have free will, but they're actually being controlled? There's a play here. There's a play. And I think Azeroth's play is certainly that she has the ability to grant people sentience and free will, and the Titans want to figure out how to control that.
as the original Arbiter, was organizing souls into their
Via domination, maybe. Domination magic. Yeah, insert domination magic.
various different departments at the power plant, he kind of realized that the whole system was flawed, that the whole thing was broken. Now, the official line on what changed his perspective isn't actually to do with Morpheus and the Matrix and a red pill. No, it's that through seeing into so many souls, he learnt about people's lives. He learnt how the universe works outside of the Shadowlands. Because, of course, he lived in the Shadowlands. That was all he knew. And when he saw all of what was out there,
What's
he
up,
got
Wacky?
really scared. He saw a flaw, and the whole preserving that which is doomed thing that he said to us is basically about that flaw. That it's fundamentally all doomed because of the flaw, and we don't really know what it is. And he basically said that this flaw in the whole universe has left all of us open to an unforeseen threat. And that threat is the what is to come. And what if I told you that the what is to come has already came? Phrasing. It's Sylvanas, Dimensius, the Void, all that stuff getting consumed. Basically, it's these expansions. Now, during the Shadowlands, this could have been taken in many different ways. A lot of us in the player base, me included, we saw the idea of the first ones. That it wasn't enough to have the Titans, that no, there had to be another pantheon above the Titans. And people just started thinking, great, is it just pantheons of gods all the way down until we're all 100 years old and World of Warcraft has been going on for 85 years? Yeah, it could have been that. It's hard to say exactly. Right. Maybe they wanted to keep their options open to have some new, unforeseen evil for the Warcraft universe. But I think that story has been firmly axed under the new direction of the World Soul saga. It's beyond obvious to me that Blizzard are clarifying the big question marks and confusion.
Hey, let's just say what it is, you know. It's obvious. Metzen came in, he goes, what the fuck? What is this? What are we doing here? Who wrote this shit? And the guy raised his hand. He's gone now. So, yeah, it's a rewrite. It's a redo. They didn't like where that shit was going, and now they got to fix it.
Of the Shadowlands expansion using the Titans, and they're essentially using this trio of expansions to kind of just tie it all up in a neat bow, so that we and the Warcraft setting can kind of be done with it and turn over a new leaf whenever the time is right. So that begs the question, who or what could this threat have been? Well, what if the Titans created the Flaw, and the Void is the coming evil? It actually makes Zovald's words fit pretty much perfectly. Stick with me here. We know Void is the only realm less energetic than death, and that souls can't go there because of death. It basically just catches them like a big net. Now, the Jailer only saw everything happening above, right? So he saw the Flaw from looking at all these different souls, but he couldn't see below. He couldn't see into the Void, and he couldn't see what was coming from the Void. No information was coming from that direction. I guess you could almost think of it, and I'm playing so fast.
It clouds the vision. The dark side clouds the vision, kind of like Star Wars. Makes sense.
Fast and loose for physicsy things, please don't kill me, but you could think of it as the other side of the event horizon of a black hole. And that's basically why he was so vague about the actual threat. He knew shit was broken, but just didn't have access to the information. Though perhaps Blizzard's original idea had something to do with the Devourers, which, let's be fair, were a really cool, kind of uncomfortable, weird, unsettling looking enemy design. But to ram this home, this theory ties the Jailors' lore to every major threat of the World Soul saga. An ascendant Xal'atath, an all-devouring entity that will literally end creation, whether it's the afterlife or Azeroth. Xal'atath's end goal is turning everything into a void that will then gnaw on itself for eternity. An endless just battle for dominance, like what we see with the Dominar and all the fine folks over in Voidstorm. That's the doom of the system, and the only reason it's happening is basically all the Titans meddling messed it up.
Wait a minute, Doc, hold on. Doc's saying something interesting. He goes, I think Bellular is how Blizzard tells us stuff that they can't officially tell us. He is their back channel communication to use. So are you saying like he's a Titan construct, like Blizzard is the Titans, and the Bellular is a Titan construct, and maybe he's going to lose his mind, go Jailer. Full Jailer. We're going to have to end him or something. Are you saying that all of it, they're telling us their own story? And we're all playing a role here? Oh my God. Oh shit. This is going deeper than I thought.
Up. And what's even more crazy is we can think about Nosdormu's warning whenever he died. Didn't we just hang out with him during Dragonflight? Yes, we did. But remember, he's a weird time dragon, and in Cataclysm, in the end time, well, we kill him. And his last words are so telling. He says this, Aman'Thul, what I have seen. And as it transpires, the thing that Nosdormu saw at the end of time, so crazy, so unknowable, whatever it is, that it literally drove him mad and turned him into basically his evil self called Morazond. The question then is, what did you see, Nosdormu? Did you see that your bosses had wrecked the universe so thoroughly that the void would eventually rise and devour everything that they had built. And this goes even further, because that's also how Sargeras' villain arc started. He feared the exact outcome of the Void winning so much that he created the Burning Legion in order to destroy all life, just so the Void could not consume it. Now let's go out on a massive speculative...
He became death. That's what he became. He became death. He goes like, the best thing to defeat the Void is death. Kill everything. The Void cannot win if everything's dead. Yeah, I mean, he figured this out long before we ever did.
Limb here. Say Sargeras had a hand in setting up some parts of the vast Titan conspiracy. That wouldn't be surprising, given he was a really important Titan back before he, turned against us all. Now, when he realized that he had left the door open to the Void, and it was effectively something that he was powerless to truly stop via traditional means, well, he just decided to destroy the entire thing. Lore about Nathrezim lies aside, I think that's fairly compelling. Yet as it stands, that bit about Sargeras and his motivations is just a theory, but it's a theory that brings together just about every single thread in Warcraft's mad, long, meandering history, including all that mad stuff we discovered in the Shadowlands, and it brings it into one neat 3-expansion arc. A vast conspiracy orchestrated by the people we most expected to do something like this. The Titans. Now, I know to some people, the Titans are the ontological good guys. They are true goodness. They're our bros. That's never really been the case in Warcraft, and if that's fully something you think, then you have not paid attention. And I don't mean you've not paid attention to the new and currently controversial lore. No, I mean you didn't pay attention to Wrath of the Lich King, and even some other lore before that. Like, really, Titan stuff has always been sus.
True.
Remember when Algalon...
That was the first time that I realized the Titans weren't on our side, was Wrath of the Lich King. When we went into the re-origination chamber, and we realized, like, the Titans would be willing to just wipe us off the face of Azeroth if they had to. That was when I realized, like, oh, there's something else they care about more than us. Clearly they don't care about us. They're just using us. We're just pawns in their game, and as soon as they don't need us anymore, they'll wipe the board clean. That was how that felt. Yeah, this was the first time ever that I realized, oh, the Titans aren't like, they're just God in World of Warcraft. No, not really.
Talked about how he has, torched and ruined and ended countless civilizations. Not just loads of people in one civilization, countless. Billions of sentient life forms have died because of the Titan stuff. And we've literally known that since 2008. So don't come here saying that, oh, the Titans are now the bad guys and it was never set up that they could be sus. Because that is flatly wrong, and that has been wrong since 2008. So if you're stuck with me this far, don't let the tourists completely mislead you about some of these foundational Warcraft lore things, because they have been well set up for years and years and years. It's just that Blizzard's storytelling in-game has consistently betrayed the really cool parts of their lore. Now, as always, with theories of everything, future experimentation may reveal things that we do not yet know. And by future experimentation, of course, I mean new WoW content, new WoW lore, new WoW story. We will have to see how this all develops. And if you want to get into the real nitty-gritty of how Keldanas launched us into the era of the Last Titan lore, which is what this video has been exploring, then you need to check out this video next. It will answer lots of questions that have probably been floating around your head.
Nice video overall, man. And I swear, you guys won't believe me, I did not pre-watch this shit. I did not. But man, I knew where this shit was going. Let me give myself some credit with that. Nice video overall, the Titans. It's all going to be relevant. Death, too. We'll see what happens. But man, one thing that I said that I actually got really excited about. What if the Necromancer class actually does become a thing in the Last Titan? Would make sense, considering we're going to use death, I guess, to defeat them. Crazy shit. We'll see what happens with the rest of this lore. Nice video overall from Bellular.